Columnist Megan Fearon.
Last Concord, and I'm delighted to be able to speak on this motion today. We are supporting the motion, and I would like to welcome the Alliance Party for bringing it forward. It has been, as the motion states, 7 years since the consultation first began on the sexual orientation strategy, and to be here 7 years later still discussing this and still calling for publication is nothing short of ridiculous. The motion also notes that there was a commitment made, and other commitments have been pointed out and outlined by Anna Lowe in her remarks. Other commitments were made in relation to the strategy and still have not been delivered. Issues around homophobia, hate crime and access to services are still problems in our society that have not effectively been dealt with. And I note that Ms Lowe asked the question, is this a failure of two parties to agree? Well, effectively it is, because I think it's very perfectly obvious where Sinn Féin stands on issues of LGBT equality. I do think it needs pointed out, though, that it could ring hollow to some that this is being brought forward by the Alliance Party, who in my time here have failed to have a unified vote on issues such as marriage equality, and some have even failed to show up to vote. However, Sinn Féin have always been highly supportive of the LGBT community, and it's perfectly obvious where the blockage is on this issue within OFM-DFM. And I know from speaking with our own ministers, there's no hold up on our end. If you're looking for a blockage, then look no further than DUP, whose record on LGBT rights is nothing short of abysmal. This year alone, we've seen the disgraceful squandering of public money in the pursuit of a personal agenda against unmarried and same-sex couples. People face discrimination every single day of their lives due to their sexual orientation, and that's just plain wrong. And, for example, around family or adoption rights, the right for civil partners to adopt doesn't exist here. However, if a person in a same-sex relationship chooses to apply to adopt as an individual and complete the process, they've every right to do that, and then enter into a civil partnership post-adoption. It's just a farcical situation. The old narrative that a child needs a man and a woman to be raised properly is totally incorrect, and I understand that people hold their very sincere religious beliefs and they're very important to some people, but they shouldn't be foisted on everyone. All a child needs in reality is a loving home and environment to grow up in. It's actually insulting to single-parent families everywhere to say that a child needs both a mother and a father to be raised in a wholesome way. There are also lingering and unaddressed inequalities facing those who have undergone gender reassignment. Someone who is married must have a divorce to undergo gender reassignment, or have their civil partnership dissolve before they can get a gender reassignment certificate. I think we need to think very carefully about the message that we're sending out of this place to young people. The reality is there's just people out there who would rather not be here than to be openly who they are, out of fear for the discrimination or intimidation that they would face. Rates of suicide among young gay people have soared, and I have to say it doesn't make things any easier when you have certain public representatives going into schools and saying that homosexuality is an abomination. The discrimination people face already comes in enough forms without reinforcing negative societal attitudes, whether it's marriage rights, adoption rights, or even the simple life-saving act of giving blood. No thanks. Ms Lowe also made some points around schools, and I'm actually very proud of the fact that a school in my own area, St Joseph's in Crossmaglen, have been awarded the 2013 NITC Award for outstanding work in LGBT equality. Yep.
Order, please. I have to remind people again that making remarks across the chamber from a Saturday position is not acceptable. Continue.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I just wonder if the member could shed some light on why he thinks there's been a delay coming forward with the sexual orientation strategy. Who does she think is at fault?
I think I've openly said, thank you. I think I've openly said that there's absolutely no blockage on our end. We've approved it with our ministers, and I know that from speaking to them. And it's obvious Sinn Féin's track record on LGBT equality issues, and the DUP, I think it's plain to see that where the hold-up is. So, no. No. You'll have your time to speak.
The Speaker has made it perfectly clear where a member demonstrates that they are not prepared to give way, another member should not persist. And can I remind members of what I said 2 minutes ago? Remarks from a Saturday position across the chamber will not be tolerated. Continue.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I think we can talk about this in here all day, but when it comes down to it, it's real people, real relationships and their personal struggles. And to paraphrase a great man, who certainly in my thoughts today, Nelson Mandela, there's no such thing as part freedom. Well, there's no such thing as part equality. It doesn't work like that. It's an all or nothing concept. And it's not a concept that we should be striving for. Equality is a necessity. And indeed, I believe the battle for LGBT rights it's been coined as the equivalent to the civil rights movement of my generation. And I think it's time that this Assembly got its act together, caught up and moved into the 21st century. Thank you.